Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon. Welcome back. It's Terry, and welcome to another edition of An Orchid a Day. Today I'm going to attempt to give a look at my collection of Aeranthes, and the light is not so great. I can see that right off the bat. Should have done this a little bit earlier, but I was kind of pressed to go to work. But I have a nice little collection, and actually I'm building my collection back up, to be quite frank. Not one of these plants have I had for a complete year. Well, I guess I've had this Grandiflora for a year, and possibly this for a year, which is a cross. But in general, I was a little careless with my collection of Aeranthes last year. I did have an Arachnes Arachnites that I loved. That was a specimen that was in a basket, and it had several growths. It had spikes, that inflorescence that were on the plant at all times. One of which had a kiki on it. I put them outside, and I ended up losing all of them and almost lost my Grandiflora. These plants are all from different areas in Madagascar for the most part. I do have my Arachne is right here. I have two of them, one there and one there. Those are also from Madagascar. But before I get too far, again, this is the Bible, as I would say, for any and all Angricoid. There are many books, but this was probably the very first one. And I would classify Fred Hillerman as the definitive expert, because he was the first one who actually did go to Madagascar and observe their habitat and their culture, both in situ and in the home environment, because he was able to cultivate these, bring these back to the States, and has made the majority of the very old hybrids of Angraecums, as well as Aeranthes and other Angricoids. But anyway, I was talking about the book. There's always going to be a chapter on Aeranthes when we're talking about Angricoids from Madagascar, which is what we're doing. And so more or less it says that Aeranthes is a Greek word from air, meaning air, and anthes meaning flower. So they're air flowers, meaning that the spikes are pendant and very long, can be several feet long, and they hang down. And the flowers, or the kikis, which can form, hang from those, and as long as they stay green, they can continue to bloom. And it does say they're exclusively Madagascan, always found epiphytically in tree trunks, branches, sometimes with moss. They do like water year-round. Most do well in intermediate conditions to warm, but they probably perform better in intermediate. So I'm kind of pushing it with these, but so far so good. I have gotten these to rebloom. But as I said, I am starting over with my collection. So I would say the most important thing about these plants is humidity and moisture. That's what I would say. They like to be moist, but they also like air movement, lots of air movement, and they like the humidity. So the Arachnides, this is the one that I had. The flowers are all kind of similar in color and shape, except for Arachne, which is a little bit more elaborate. But they all pretty much look like little bugs, pretty much a 5-star chartreuse to white color, with a spur generally. Yeah. So yeah, I might put a picture of my Arachnides that I had that I lost. Aeranthes is a synonym of caudata, which says it's mountainous, from more mountainous regions. Flowers in February. Most of these flower from the fall through winter to early spring, although once they become specimens, they can be in flower year round, or at any point year round, rather than just from the fall into the spring. And caudata is often confused with grandiflora. I would say that grandiflora appreciates a little bit more light, and the flowers are definitely bigger than caudata. This is my caudata right here. You can see this is a previous spike that is brown, so it's not going to flower anymore from that spike. Yeah, and this is a hybrid up here of a caudata. This is ramosa crossed with caudata, and it's had a really nice growth season. It's got some new fans, new leaves coming up, so I am hoping to see spikes on all of my plants, honestly, because they're all bloom size, and again, my light is horrible. So the next one down on this, as I flip through the page, would be Grandiflora, and as I said, it is the largest flowering Aeranthes, probably the most common. Epiphytic tree trunks and damp forests in Madagascar is low elevation plants. Again, flowers in the wild between July and December. Easy grower, intermediate. Sphagnum moss. Yeah. Does not have any fragrance to it. And again, this is my Grandiflora that I just repotted into this little, there's a plastic pot in there, and it's got a mixture of bark and sphagnum in there. So yeah, it is still kind of recuperating. These do get watered every day, as long as the sphagnum is dry to the touch. I try to give them a little sprinkling. Misting does a lot better for them in the winter, although they still like to be moist. Okay, so that's my Grandiflora. And then there's Enrichi, which I did a video on, so I'm not going to spend too much time on that. My Enrichi that I got right here, this was an import straight from Madagascar. I've had this for a year, and I mounted this. Well, it's technically mounted, but it's really potted because the roots go in there. This is reputedly very difficult to grow. The roots have a habit of rotting the new roots, so it's very advisable to mount these orchids so that the roots stay relatively dry after they're wet. The flower there is a very unique and special, and I will post a picture. I have not bloomed, of course, that I've not bloomed it. Then I have Aeranthes pyrati, which, let me see, it says it's pronounced somewhere. There it is. Peyrotii. Okay. But Peyrotii, the only difference between Peyrotii, I would say, than the other ones is that, as you can see, the fans are a lot thinner, less tough. You can see these are very thin. These are very thick and almost succulent-like. So I just have to be a little bit careful with watering. This is actually two plants that are mounted together. There's one over there and there's two. And I love these flowers because they very much look like little green bugs. They don't open all the way. They're very shy flowers, as I would describe them. Kind of downward cup shape, if that makes any sense. And then I also have a Ramosa, which is a Madagascan. Green, more green flowers, more chartreuse. Some of these are only single flowered, whereas once the inflorescence form, it can be sequential. I guess Ramosa is a sequential as well, but they're only known, most of the time they only bloom one, two of inflorescence, although once the flower falls off, it can, over time, continue to grow the inflorescence. Let me see what this says, if anything, about Ramosa. And there we go. There are two different kinds of Ramosas. There is a darker green and then there's a lighter green. But they both are from Madagascar, epiphytic on tree trunks. Of course, they bloom in the early spring. Less light than some of the other Aeranthes, but they are kept generally more moist as well, and possibly can take more heat. So yeah, that's my collection of my Aeranthes. Hopefully this video wasn't so long. I see it's going on 11 minutes, but I had said previously that I was going to show you all of my collection, and I have. And there's my Caudata down there. But if you've enjoyed my video and you are enjoying my An Orchid a Day series, please subscribe. But in any event, enjoy your orchids and have a good day. Bye.